It is training camp live on Monday. Julie Donaldson and Santana Moss. Look, on Friday, the team had to make a very difficult decision to release Derrius Guice. He would have been heading into his third season. Of course, the first few years, he ended up finishing, not able to finish the season through injuries. But the team learned on Friday that there were a couple charges spreading over 3 different months, 3 different separate times, and domestic violence involved in that. And head coach Reuben Foster said that, this is something they took very seriously. They researched it. They did their due diligence. They did their homework. And they decided it was the best interest of the team to release Derrius.
Yeah, it's sad and it's unfortunate, especially for both parties. I think, when it comes down to the person who's dealt the toughest blow, Guice and his family, both, dealing with the domestic case and just maybe on the crust of losing his career. So you just hope the best for him, but the team had to move forward.
Well, he is not picked up off of waivers, but of course he does have to go through this process to see exactly which way the courts and the legal system will take it. But he will no longer be a part of the Washington football team. Training camp live is starting now. All right, so here we go. Time to get to the warm-up. So yeah, a little bit of news going on over the weekend. And also, Reuben Foster was taken off the physically unable to perform list. So we're going to be getting a little bit further into what does he mean to this defense. And we talked with head coach Ron Rivera just leading into this on what he expects from him, where he plans to use him in the linebacking core. And of course, it falls along to pretty much what they've been saying about everything is you can't just pigeon one position for any of these players. And they're going to make sure that they work him back slowly. So that'll be coming up a little bit in the show. But first off, look, camp is up and running. They do not have helmets on. That'll come on the 13th. Pads will come up on the 18th. So they're still going through walkthroughs, taking it slow, trying to work guys back in, making sure that they don't, get injured at all. And again, every single day, players are tested for COVID, making sure that they are safe coming out here and healthy. When you had a day off, they did have Saturday away. When you had a day off, how did you spend it during camp?
I mean, times are so different from when I was a player playing in this league. But now we're dealing with the circumstances. When I had my days off, it was basically taking care of my body. I saw my masseuse, chiropractor, saw my personal guy, and at the end of all that craziness, I would find time to have a movie and stuff like that. But the times and the conditions are way different than it was, it is now back then.
I was talking with a couple of guys, and they said they were sore, because, again, they're working out on their own at home, but they haven't been going through the same football kind of moves. And even though they're going through individual drills and there aren't pads on, this is why they want to move them a little bit slowly. So stretching was a big one. I know some of the guys said they wanted to do, making sure they get the movements in that allow them to come back out here and go, because they are running a relatively up-paced practice. They are making sure that they go through things pretty quick. Oh, that's one thing that head coach said he wants to make sure is that it's up-tempo. That's the way that they like things to go out here. Also, when you have your days off, we're going to be having the schedule coming up. Do you like the fact that they're kind of just going through walkthroughs right now, or do you kind of get antsy as a player saying, okay, we've been doing this for a few days, we want to get the pads on?
I mean, one of the things that you got to think of and take into consideration is that they haven't had much time out there. So I'm pretty sure all these guys are pleased with just having these light, walkthroughs. I love walkthroughs personally. I think that was a great change up for us when we can just go out there and just mentally really focus on the game. Everyone's going to play football when that whistle is blown, when it's time to put on everything. But mental focus is one of the key things, to go out there and just know your assignment. So when it's time to be live, then I'm sure those guys, not far too removed from, knowing how live football is supposed to be played.
We're going through all of this too, and in the time off, because of COVID, there has to be social distancing that goes on as well. How much do you think that kind of impacts a little bit of the team bonding and them trying to kind of get together in cohesion?
Well, there's no bonding in camp. The only bonding you're getting is me sitting in the cold tub talking to you about what we got to do tomorrow. Trust me, guys are trying. The only way you're bonding is if you have a roommate or you see the guys down in Child Hall or something like that. But when it's time to break in camp, we break. I don't want to see anybody. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'm going to get away from you and make sure this body right so I can go out there and do what I did the day before.
Is that just you, or is that typically the overall theming? Come on, you're a little bit of a difference cat.
It varies now. It varies a bit. Trust me. I remember when I was a young buck, my first year was kind of, unfortunately, I had the chance to watch everybody do what they do. You saw guys eating pies together, doing their thing, having fun. But those were the best. Those were the guys who was familiar with the process. When you're young, you're just trying to get out the way and make sure that you can be ready for the next day. So I'm pretty sure the older guys would, have a little more bonding, but the young guys are just trying to get in that playbook, get those bodies right so they can go out there and be efficient the next day.
And this team is relatively young to begin with. A lot of the rookies playing last season now being the savvy vets coming in for the rookies this season, trying to get them adapted. And again, they're having to wear these braces that let you know when you're around people. And the big thing is, especially as we go through, everybody wants to know, will football go off as plans? Look, it comes down, and Coach has been preaching this, a lot of people have been preaching this, it's how responsible are you when you do have that day off?
That's one of the things that I was focused on the most too. You know, I'm watching all these other leagues, you know, take part in what they do, and you just hope that all these players can take into consideration that, hey, what I do hurts everyone else. So, you know, when I watch the baseball situation transpire, you know, with the Marlins and them coming from Philly and they had to postpone games, you just find it odd just saying, hey, man, the season done got off, and now these certain teams have to postpone games because one or two people, you know, tested positive, and not knowing how they tested positive or how they got that positive test. You just hope all these guys are watching that and knowing that every situation that they're in, it could cost their season.
Yeah, that's what Coach says. Look, the team that's going to be able to make it is the team that is the most responsible to themselves and to their teammates to make sure that they don't do anything to take guys off of the field. All right, when we come back here, we're going to talk about the X's and the O's. We're going to talk a little bit more about Reuben Foster. What does he mean now that he is back? Because we haven't been able to see him on the field. And also, what is that running back room going to look like now that Derrius Guice is no longer here?
This summer, get back in the driver's seat. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Like the versatile HR-V or the fun-to-drive CR-V. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the CR-V at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
A moment of joy, a source of inspiration, an act of kindness, an old friend, a new beginning, some welcome relief, or a cause for celebration. What's inside? Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
And we're back on Training Camp Live. So a bit of a news happened over the weekend. Reuben Foster being one of the main ones as he comes back to the team taken off the physically unable to perform list. Look, very first practice, just like 2 plays into practice. I remember being out here for camp last time he was out. There's so much excitement of what he could bring to this defense. But he ended up tearing his ACL, MCL, and having nerve damage. So it's been a very long time working his way back. We had heard guys talking about when he was on the field here getting ready while he didn't have the green light, that he was explosive. They called it phenomenal, the way he was able to do and come back, and that he could be somebody that could really have an impact. Well, over the weekend, he comes off the list. And we were just talking with Coach about, you know, how they plan to use him.
Yeah, one of the things that you can look at is just what I'm seeing that's transpiring through through some of these positions on this team is having multiple guys that you can use. Reuben is an asset. I thought that before when we got him, and to see that he's working his way back and now he's able to go out there and participate in live activities, it's great to know that you have a guy like that. These linebackers are stout, the D-line is stout, the running back stout. They have a chance to really use multiple guys in different positions or in different sets. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Reuben can bring to that linebacker room.
Yeah, he said he's very explosive, but they want to work him back slowly as you want to make sure that he, doesn't have any setbacks in his injury on that. But he says when you watch him run, you can see that he's going to have an impact. And they don't want to label him to just one spot in that linebacking core, which goes along with everything they've been saying. They're going to be playing multiple positions. And he has an opportunity to be a starter, depending on what he does here at camp. So he very well could be the guy out there, and very well could be one of the best guys out there as camp does progress. All right, so here are the X's as we get into this, and now we're going to be talking a little bit about the run defense of this team. Well, last season they were second worst with giving up 146 yards a game. Teams just were able to have all their way with that. Saquon Barkley and Ezekiel Elliott absolutely love that those numbers were that way. Daron Payne's going to be a big part of this in stopping the run clip, as is or stopping the run, as is Matt Ioannidis. Well, Matt was asked about the leadership of this unit.
100%. I think that Sam calls it the tip of the spear. So I think we have the ability to, the right guys in the room, to lead this team, and I'm hoping to do that come game one.
All right, so the X's are presented by Pepsi. I'm glad to have them on as a sponsor as we go through here. Talking about the run defense, like Deron Payne and Matt Ioannidis, Tim Settle, John Allen, those guys have been the strength of this team. Last season, though, Santana, if you look at the body of work, you have so much talent in that unit, but yet they were bottom of the league in giving up yards. What can we attest part of that to?
I think we can attest just communication problems. I said it before early in the week, last week, that this defense found itself in those situations time and time again. Regardless of how good those guys played at times up front, it just wasn't, hitting at home when it came to the coaching staff. And so that's why you see them at the bottom of the league like that. This year, it's not going to be one of those things that we can sit here and say it's communication problem. This staff is going to make sure these guys are aware of what they have to do, and they have enough guys to go out there and play a role in that.
A lot of times last season, you would hear guys saying that they were getting the call like really way late on what they were going to do, and so then they were having to try, and you could see them. You could see them trying to talk to each other and trickle it back, and by that time it was just really too late for them to be efficient at all. But even heading into last season, the defensive line was expected to be a top 5 defensive line. Heading in now, I think they're projected going into the season as maybe the 3rd best defensive line going in there, and that is because you do have these guys and that talent. And as you hear Ioannidis, a lot of guys saying like they are going to be the ones that lead the team. They are going to be the strength, the reason this team will be able to get those wins and losses. If we were to kind of go and you're going to pick your top run stopper this season, who would it be?
It's easy for me to pick the guy that I know that you leaned on and Deron Payne, but you got to think about those other guys, Ioannidis and Allen. Allen led those guys last year in tackles. But I'm going to go outside the box a little bit, and I'm going to put a guy out there who doesn't like to be in the box, Landon Collins. He led the team, I believe, with 117 tackles. And the thing I love about Landon, that he's a guy that you can really disguise and bring him up close, and he plays a valuable role in both the pass game and the run game, being in that box. So hopefully with this new defensive scheme, with these coaching staff, they're going to take advantage of what guys do best, what guys do well. And I know I can see Landon, flourishing and being one of those guys that having a great season, lining up in that box and helping those guys out.
He's a mismatch problem. I mean, he can be able to take on pretty much anybody, especially in the run. He's not afraid to be aggressive. He's not afraid to be that alpha to go out there and hit. And you have a lot of guys that, even you were talking about, it's like that don't want to necessarily take that on. He's one of those guys that definitely isn't. Yeah, I went Deron Payne for this one, which you would have as well. But I kind of forced Santana into picking somebody else. Like Deron Payne, this is what he prides himself on: he is stout. He loves being able to cause havoc on the runners. He looks forward to going up against Zeke and Saquon, and you know that those teams with those players can put up massive yards on you. He even had a couple of sacks in his first year. I think he had 5, and then last year it teetered off to just two sacks. But a lot of that, again, was because of the communication problems. But I know that's something as well that he kind of wanted to develop into his. He's going to be splitting time a little bit with Settle. Do you think that the rotation could impact, or is the rotation going to help them, I guess, a little bit in the run game?
Fresh bodies are always good bodies, So regardless of what time he splits with whoever it is, he's going to come in fresh. So be aware, those guys are going to be seeing a lot of them in the backfield.
Right, and you see the speed that he has as well. So hopefully this season it won't be as difficult or as easy for other teams to be able to run on them once you do get everything talking in place. You also have coming to this team Chase Young. We've talked so much about how he can go after and get the quarterback, and that's like really the sexy numbers. That's what you really bring him in for, and people want to see that flash. But what do you see him bringing in against the run?
I think one of the things that you can see is that he's going to lighten up the load for a lot of those guys, regardless of when he's on the field, he's going to have to be a guy that you pay close attention to. So, and then guys, fail to realize Chase Young wasn't, quote unquote, said to be one of the better run stoppers in college. But if you think about it, he had 21 tackles for a loss. So to me, that goes far than saying that this guy can only, do things well in the passing game or being a great rush in. But he's going to be a guy that you have to pay close attention to, so that opened the floodgates up for everybody else. We're not talking about some of the other guys as much because of Chase Young, but hey, Montez Sweat was a guy that caught on late last year, so you just be assured that he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be a valuable point, you know, or going to make a point to say, hey, don't forget about me over here, because he's going to be showing up a lot often, knowing that you have that guy Chase Young on the other side.
I mean, Chase is getting all the attention because he's the new toy, right? Everybody wants to sit there and,
Everyone
on
likes
Christmas morning, you open up, you want to,
Everyone likes the Corvette.
And I have a feeling it's not going to wear off at all, especially as you do get to be able to see him in play and in action. But when you talk about a unit being the leader of the team, like, what is that mindset for those players, understanding that really they are the strength of this team going forward?
I mean, they have to have that mindset. I think one of the things that I can, remember about my playing days as a receiver, our receiver coach always told us the offense go as well as we go, because we have a bigger role. We have to go out there and, move the chains on, third down. We have to catch those passes. We also have a valuable role in the run game. We have to make sure that we're getting our guys so the running backs can have those extra yards. So when you look at the D-line, they have a big role. They have to be able to set the D-line. They have to be able to set the defense and allow those linebackers to get off and make some of those tackles. And then when it comes to the passing game, they have to put pressure on that quarterback. So that role is valuable to the defense as a whole. And if they play well, that makes the whole defense look better.
One of the big things that they also stressed as well is they really wanted team. A lot of the guys are actually from this area too, and they wanted to really have that chemistry together. So they've spent the off seasons training together, not going out to separate areas and kind of doing their own individual work, but understanding that unit, since it is so important, and understanding that they do have to be the leaders of the defense as well to build that team chemistry. Now that you've got a lot of them going in now into their second season, kind of really working together. You're going Duran again, heading into just his third season here. How much does it do you think that really makes a difference, though, basically is what I'm asking, that they have that off-season time together as opposed to kind of going separate and now just getting the time here once they're finally on the field? What
makes a difference is all these guys are pretty much, they came in together around the same time. So they get a chance to bond and grow. I remember, I can only, go back to my college years when it comes to this kind of experience, because in the pros, you have so many guys in and out. But I never started with a group of guys that we were all young and we all played early. In college, that happened to me. So I remember us all putting ourselves in situations where we said, hey, look, we're going to do X, Y, and Z together. We're going to be the team. We're going to be the guys that's going to bring this, bring this unit or bring this team back. So now you have a bunch of young guys, first, second, third year players, fourth year players that say we can all grow together. So one of those guys, are the leader of all of them, is Allen. He has the most years of them all, and I'm sure we understand how vocal he's been the last few years. So I know that these guys done huddle up together and say, look, we have to do this and that in order for us to bring this franchise back, and I'm sure they're ready for that challenge.
A lot of times when John Allen talks, and you've seen him kind of use his voice much more as the time has progressed, but he's always led on the field. He's like, I don't care what you say, you better bring it every single play. That's what he demands and expects, and that's what you're going to get from this unit going forward. When we come back here, though, on Training Camp Live, we are going to talk about the O's. What does the running back room look like now that Derrius Guice has been released from the team? And we're also going to have our scouting report. We're going to tell you what is trending. Make sure you tweet us throughout the show. We are showing those, and we also want you to be a part of the conversation.
This summer, it's time to get back outdoors. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Enjoy the sunshine in the family-friendly Pilot or the rugged Passport. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the Pilot at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
The O's presented by FedEx. Taking a look at how this offense is going to go. Scott Turner taking over as offensive coordinator here. Is a lot of new coaches coming over from Carolina. You can expect he takes a little bit from his dad, Norv Turner, in the offense. They like it high-paced, high-fast, try to confuse things. Going to see a couple backs on the field at the same time. not typical, but they want to try and confuse defenses. And especially if you look at the talent that they have, if you put a whole bunch of guys out there, where are they going to go? If we're talking about the running back room, again, it's a very unfortunate situation for really all parties, for the team, because they were expecting and wanting to see Derrius Guice. You saw flashes when he was healthy, what he could do. He put up 200 yards in one of them. He could find the end zone. He was explosive. But you had to make sure that he was going to be healthy to be able to be reliable out there for that. Knowing he was putting in the work the offseason, they were wanting him to be a big part of this offense going forward. But unfortunately, the decision was made to release him. A lot went into factor for that, but he is no longer with the team. So you have to take a look at the running back room now that he is not here. You have Adrian Peterson, if we're going to go on this. Let's just kind of go through the players and what we're expecting of him. Adrian Peterson, he's going to be your tone setter.
Yeah.
You have him basically on first and second down. He can kind of run uphill in between the tackles, but can you expect more and get more out of him as well? Many people say, okay, 34 years old, but still he's proven it the past few years to be your most reliable back.
I won't bet against him. I think he's one of those guys that as the years, pile on, he's shown you that he can do more, and I'm sure he's willing to go out there and do what's asked and beyond. He's a guy that I will always, look forward to having him in my backfield. So it's a great sign that we still have him in the room.
And especially the leadership that he brings as well. He's always saying he's willing to talk to the younger guys, and told me, look, if they come up, I'm going to sit there and tell them what they can do for their bodies to stay healthy, to stay out there, because even he has, no player goes through the season without being injured somewhere or the other, right? Something gets dinged up, and even he was dealing with, issues with his feet and his toes, still out there and performing. So what you're going to basically get out of him. Peyton Barber, I think, could kind of be somebody I would view as a little bit of a backup for him. He's reliable. What he was able to put in a couple of years ago, he put up over 800 yards. And then last season, he split a lot of time when it was running back by committee. But you can still count on him to get you some good yards as well.
Yeah, he's the first and second down running back as well. I also seen him catch some passes out of the backfield, which is good. I think all of them have to have that skill set nowadays. Nowadays, most of these running backs that's coming into this league are guys that you can line up or throw the ball to from time to time. So knowing that we can use him on those first and second downs, if we needed to give AP a blow, then knowing you're going to have to dress that guy because he's going to have to fill in that void sometime.
Now, the question being, don't you need like a little bit of a rhythm? Are you switching them out, or is it just you kind of go with who has the hot hand a little bit?
Rhythm is always key, but as Coach spoke to us well about today, is that they're going to probably lean on the hot hand most of the time. And then you have so many other backs. You have backs that you can really say, hey, well, we're going to probably just use them for certain sets or certain situations. But rhythm is always key, and I'm sure that we remember AP when he was in New Orleans. He wasn't happy about not getting that rhythm. So I'm sure that if he's going to be one of the guys that's dressing up, he's going to want a rhythm. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, and last season heading into there as well, remember Jay Gruden decided not to dress him for week 1, of which Derrius Guice unfortunately ended up getting injured as well. Well, that ticked him off. He wants to be out there. He wants and totally believes that he should be your lead guy as well, which is the mentality you have to have to be able to be out here. He says as long as it's open competition, he's fine with that. But you talk about some of those situational players and maybe a third down back a bit. J.D. McKissick they brought in. They kind of view him as somebody you can put in on third down. You described him as what?
He's a CT type of guy. He's a guy, I watched him on film, and he can line up in a slot. He can put him in the backfield, throw swing passes here and there. The guy is just dynamic. So, it was interesting just hearing Coach talk about him, because I was always, picturing this guy coming in on third downs already, and then when Coach spoke on it, saying, yeah, he's a guy that we know that he can be that third down back. He hasn't seen him that much run between the tackles, but CT was a guy that he had a change up in him. He can do that as well. So if you're going to dress a guy like JD, he has to have that kind of mindset that from time to time I have to be able to take this ball, take a couple of handoffs, and run between the tackles as well.
And then, of course, you cannot forget the rookie that they brought in, Antonio Gibson. There is so much excitement about him coming in here and how they're going to use him. And anytime you mention the backs, even coaches like, don't forget about Antonio, because they believe if you put the ball in his hands, he's going to make plays. I think it's like 1 in 9 touches when he was in college, he scored a touchdown on you. He had 77 touches in college. 33 of them were carries. The rest were, in the passing game. And they say he's played wide receiver, he's played running back, so he can run those routes. A player like him, should he live up to the potential, gives you all sorts of options in this offense.
Definitely. He's a DH. He's a designated hitter. He's the guy that you can bring in and say, look, this is the guy that's going to give us that home run. This is the guy that's going to make it happen. Right now, Coach don't know what he's going to do with him because he can do so many things. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to what role he plays in this game. It was asked, where did you want to see him more at? I thought at first as a receiver, just watching his, highlights and watching some of the tape that he had on him But when you really, dive deep into it and see some of the things he did it all. So I'm looking forward to seeing this guy role expand as the weeks go on. But right now, they're still in camp, so he has to get and make a name for himself first.
He says he has the moves to be able to shake. He's elusive, has good vision, has good hands. He's a tough runner. I mean, really, when you go through all the accolades for him line up, and other players, even
Just
when you
give him
talk
the
to them as
ball.
well. Yeah, exactly. Like when I've asked other players, I said, what do you think about Antonio? They're like, man, like this kid's going to has the chance to be something really great in this offense. The offense does have a lot of question marks. Who are the big playmakers?
Yeah.
You have Terry McLaurin, and then after that, you're kind of going, okay, it's open for someone to really go out there and say, give me the ball. I'm going to be able to make things happen for you. If you do have a couple of backs on the field together, what would you imagine maybe that looking like?
Well, if I had to be the guy that say, how would they start the season off? I can't see that backfield starting out without AP. I think AP is the guy you have to dress. We can't forget about Love. I understand he's coming off an injury, and that's something that we're going to have to pay close attention to. But I do believe that he's ready, more than ready for the opportunity, knowing he have a new staff. He have a lot to prove. But I see those three guys. I see AP, I see Love, and I see AG. I see AG really getting a chance. Gibson's he's a young guy, but those young guys nowadays come in, seasoned. They come in like seasoned vets. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be ready to make a difference.
If we do talk about now, we're going to make a couple of predictions. Who do you think will be leading the team in rushing this season coming up?
I say AP. AP's a guy, he's going to be heard and he's going to be seen, and when you give him a chance, I understand what it's like to be 14 years in. AP sees his future beyond these this 14th year, and so I can see this guy carrying the load.
I would agree with you on that one if we're talking specifically rushing yards. Now, over the past few seasons, Adrian hasn't gotten to over 1,000 in rushing, but he has gotten to over 1,000 in total yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
So I don't see that necessarily changing, especially the way this is stacking up. If he's healthy, all things go, and then I think he's going to be the one that you're going to really lean on for the run game specifically. But if we're talking then about who's going to lead the team in touchdowns, I'm going Gibson for this one.
Yeah, I can see AG, being the guy because he's going to probably be able to do so many things. You're going to see this guy in the slot. You're going to see this guy in the backfield. You name it. All the different gadget plays that they have now in the league with all these sweeps and all that stuff. He's going to probably be our guy to do all that. So I can see him leading the team easily or leading the backs, in touchdowns.
I think the one player that I think that could make that a little bit interesting is if Bryce Love proves that he's healthy, then I think you could see him being explosive and getting the ball in his hands as well. That's what all this is about. Who stays healthy, who's out there. We're not going to be able to have any scrimmage to be able to see this until actually you're at week 1 against the Eagles.
Who knows?
Now, talking about Adrian on Good Morning Football, he says that, he was talking about, they said that he's behind Emmitt Smith by 4,139 yards. He wants to be able to reach him. Is that possible?
Like I just said, I won't bet against him.
That would mean that, okay, so
It's
4,000 yards,
possible.
that means he'd have to play at least 4, maybe 5 more years, realistically.
And that's how you have to look at it. I think if he has a chance to play those years, then he shall get close. It's a tough task. It's a tall task. But like I said before, AP is one of those guys. He's like Tom Brady when it comes to don't bet against those type of guys.
See, and now you're going to make me feel like because I just don't, I'm not sure I see him going another 4 years and being able to get 1,000 yards every single year. Again, the last 2, while he is the most reliable team that they've had on this, I think they've got a lot of youth coming up that can be able to challenge him a little bit for that playing time and for those yards. So I would love, of course, personally for him to see that. I think everybody would agree with that, but I think realistically it's probably a little bit of stretch. It's okay if he finishes just behind
I'm
him.
always
I think that
optimistic,
career is
though,
still
you know
enough.
that.
Again, 100% that he's going
Yeah.
to the Hall of Fame, so he's got enough accolades. So Dwayne Haskins Jr. is active on social media. You see him going out there as well with Adrian going into year 14. Kind of crazy when a lot of these guys were even saying they come in and like they idolized Adrian Peterson, and here they are now playing right next to him, Dwayne Haskins being the one to handle the ball off.
Yeah, man, I've been in those shoes before, so I remember. I'm pretty sure he's getting a lot of OG calls when he's in that room. Like, OG this, OG that. So it's great to be the OG though.
Yeah, well, again, if you're still playing at this league, you're doing something right. Certainly, Adrian is. So there you go. You take a look at all the rushers where Adrian is on that list. When we come back, though, we're going to get the scouting report. Logan Campbell is going to be joining us and tell us a little bit about what is trending. And also, there's a chase going on between Montez Sweat and Ryan Anderson. Who do you think would win that one? We'll tell you when we come back.
A moment of joy, a source of inspiration, an act of kindness, an old friend, a new beginning. some welcome relief or a cause for celebration? What's inside? Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
This summer, get back in the driver's seat. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Like the versatile HR-V or the fun-to-drive CR-V. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the CR-V at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
We're back on Training Camp Live. It is time now for the Scouting Report. Every weekday at 9 a.m., we're going to be here with you. Logan Campbell will be joining us as well. This week, look, the guys love being active on social media. I think it was fun all off season watching, seeing what videos are they posting on Instagram, on Twitter, who are they clapping back at, what are they thinking? It's the way, especially during COVID, that you can relate to the players, see what they're doing in their personal lives. So we are hitting on all the hot spots for what is trending. Logan, take us through this.
Yeah, Julie, well, it was a busy weekend in the social media world for some of the players on this Washington football team. And like you said, we're going to show you guys what's trending. We're going to kick things off with Steven Sims Jr., who tweeted on Saturday, "Play the game how it's supposed to be played." Julian Santana, immediately after looking at this tweet, what is going through your guys' head? What do you guys think he meant by this?
You tell me, you played. What is that?
I just feel like he's just saying that, do what's asked and a little more. Sims Jr. got his chance last year for just doing everything right, and now he's in year 2. So he's on that path again to show these guys that, he's worthy of being that guy that they can rely on.
When I was chatting with him, he was saying he's really expecting a lot out of him in year 2. Going into year 1, I know the coaches said, look, he only basically played one position in college. And so to be able to ask more of him, he had to really kind of understand that at the pros to be able to give him more responsibility. Yeah. And they needed to pay attention to the details. And when we were talking, he said, yeah, he goes, that was the biggest thing. He goes, but now that I'm a little bit further in it, I understand what that means. He says, I kind of get it. He goes, I understand sometimes I was pushing too much, too hard for the yards. Could have cost them a game at one of the points. He sees that, understands all that. So I think he's wanting a bigger role, and they're giving it to him. They're trying to line him up in a lot of positions. So I kind of think that's what that's meaning, is just like played how it's supposed to be, and he's expecting a bigger role. I don't think it's anything like...
Do what's asked, and that's all. And everything else comes. One of the things that, I don't want to be too long with it, but I remember Coach telling me is take advantage of the opportunity that's given. Mm-hmm. If something happens after that, that's a plus. So that's probably what he's meaning also.
Well, when we talk to him again, we'll have to ask. All right, Logan.
All right, moving on. Under Armour tweeted a video of Chase Young doing an insanely hard workout. I know after I watched this, I was just tired looking at it. And I work out here and there, but I don't think I could come even close to doing a workout this hard. Julian Santana, I know you guys are very active people and you both work out on a daily basis. Do you think you could do a workout like this?
Today, no.
I was about to say, we had to put it in perspective and make it relative to what we were trying to do at the time.
Yeah, today, no. But I remember those days when I was getting ready for the season. Trust me, as a receiver, I'm not doing what Chase Young would be doing, but my workouts was pretty intense. They was down at the University of Miami. Back then, our strength coach was Andrew Swayze. Now he's at FIU, but he made sure every guy that came from there, when we came back, we was ready to go play the next year. So I do believe in having those kind of intense workouts.
You ready to learn a little something about me?
Tell me.
I came this close to competing in fitness competitions because I just absolutely loved that. Like when somebody says you can't do this, I'd push harder, go faster, and I loved it. I mean, I absolutely love seeing that and the training and everything about it, pushing yourself to where you're basically like can't go anymore and then going further. So relative to myself, I have done some of that crazy stuff. I can be pretty strong, but we're not going to try and challenge Chase to anything at all.
No way.
Not going to happen. He wins.
Julie, you were telling me the other day, your trainer said something about you doing 500 push-ups or some ridiculous number, and you said, nope, I can do it after he told you that you can't. That's really impressive.
Julie's crazy.
Don't underestimate me, folks. Just don't do that. Although I really need to get back on my workouts. This job is hindering that a little bit. Tana goes every day, so we'll get that back in. All right, what's next?
I need some of that motivation because I know I have not worked out since I started. But Chase Young actually did see the tweet, and he quoted the tweet and said, I'm just trying to be who I'm destined to be. Now, I said this last week, he knows he has a target on his back. He knows that people want him to fail. But clearly from this video and everything else that we've seen, he has been putting in 110% to be the best player on the field.
Yeah. No argument there.
No mark.
No. We'll just let that one roll.
Well, moving on Friday, the Washington football team tweeted out a video of the defensive line getting to work. So on Friday, it was the D-line racing each other, and we're going to start off with Daron Payne. Look at him. The caption says it all. Slow feet don't eat. And he is just blowing everyone out of the water. If he keeps that up, he's going to get the whole 7-course meal during the season. Julian Santana, what are your thoughts on Daron Payne after seeing it?
I mean, we were talking earlier on you know, how he is that run stopper. He is strong, he is stout, but also you see the speed that he has too.
Very agile to be that big of a guy. It's great to see competition, you know, in that skill, you know, that skill room. One of the things that I always appreciate is my receivers, you know, silently competing against each other. When we had to do conditioning or where we had to see who's going to catch the most passes, I can see these guys saying who's going to be in the backfield the most. And Daron Payne's one of those guys. He's showing you that he's not just big for nothing. He has good feet also.
I like that. Not just big for nothing. Logan.
Right. Well, Ryan Anderson also took a picture from another race between him and Montez Sweat, and he posted it on Instagram. Of course, he had to poke a little fun at Sweat and said, "How about it, Montez?" Now, what are you guys thinking about Ryan Anderson during training camp?
I love the races. You know, I think you even saw that. I mean, look, when Montez Sweat at the combine, he had the fastest 40 of all the defensive ends. And there was a video even the other day where he was racing Chase, and I think he beat Chase.
Yeah, came back and got him.
Now we don't know what was lying up ahead of that too. I mean, this is the one video, but yeah, I mean, you want all those guys right there and there with it.
Competition is always key. You know, if you see these guys competing like that in practice, that leads you to know that they're going to have a great season together. So I love to see the competition.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're keeping score though too. We'll have to ask that. All right, Logan, thank you so much for what is trending now, bringing some fun social facts into this show. We'll get more from Logan again tomorrow. When we come back here on Training Camp Live, we're going to tell you what is on tap for the day because we have our happy hour coming up. Some players will be talking. We'll tell you who.
Miracles. What we deliver by delivering.
This summer, it's time to get back outdoors. Your Honda dealer is open and ready to get you into a new Honda today. Enjoy the sunshine in the family-friendly Pilot or the rugged Passport. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance Event and get a great deal from Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value Brand. Get a great deal on the Pilot at the Honda Summer Clearance Event today.
So when we said the players had the weekend off, we were making sure that just meant Saturday because you know what? It's the beginning of training camp. They don't need 2 days off in a row.
Not
They
too
just
many.
get Saturday. But since Sunday started for them, we're back here on Monday. We'll be back here every day at 9 a.m. They go through conditioning. They go through walkthroughs. It won't be on Thursday finally is when all the media can come out, although 10, because it's a pool, 10 media members can come out. They will be able to see the walkthroughs and the helmets will go on then. Big adjustment to finally getting the helmets on? Are you kind of looking forward to kind of the progression of camp?
I'm looking forward to the progression part of it. I know these guys are probably also because they want to start getting those bodies to that feel of what it feels like to play football again.
Yeah, so the 13th are helmets, the 18th will be pads, and things will finally get ramped up from then. But look, they're out on the field now going through drills. Again, Coach said he wants to make it up-tempo and fast. That's what you can expect when you do come out. We get to see more of practice and how it carries out. We had Coach Ron Rivera. See, folks, that noise right there is meaning, like, you know,
Too close.
COVID, too close. But again, we are tested constantly to make sure that we are safe. So we're going to hear from the head coach, Ron Rivera. He talked to the media just before we came up here as well. And Dwayne Haskins Jr. is going to be having a press conference when we sign off after practice. We're going to bring you that in our happy hour. So join us back at 2:30 for happy hour. It's never too early to be happy in a happy half hour. Thanks for joining us today.